So welcome to this class, manufacturing technology, and in this class now we'll start study about the die casting. Okay, so die casting is one of the type of the operations where casting is generally performed in the die. Okay, so that is the name itself says the die casting. Okay, so if you see if you have to make the plastic component for casting, like when you have to make some bottle caps or combs, or when you have to uh, form like some low melting point metals like zinc, alloy, pot metal, lead, aluminum, or magnesium. So in these cases, what we can go for a multiple part die. Okay, that means it can produce both plastic components and low melting point metals. So this multi part die, it is used for this type of process. It is done in one another process. It is called the injection molding. Okay, so in injection molding, these uh, products can be prepared using this multiple part die. Okay, but in case of automotive parts, like when we have to form some automatic transmission parts, like these dies, it can be your quite complex, because it is very difficult to disassemble this die at some specific order for ensuring that the workpiece it is released from the casting die. Okay, that means it is not easy to use this die when we have go for when we opt for some automatic transmission compound. So the dies is very complex. Okay, so parts or products produced by this method, it is also uh, so parts or products produced by this method, it is referred to as a die cast. Okay, so that means whatever the parts or products produced using this one, these automotive parts, these are called the die cast. Compared to this low waste casting, the marginal production, it is quite cheap. Okay, it is quite cheap when you go for some substantial investment in tooling and some material handling equipment it is made. Okay, that means your lost waste casting, this marginal production, it is very cheap. Okay, when you have made some substantial investment in tooling and material handling equipment. So as compared to the sand casting process, the die casting method, it can produce very fine details on complex parts and yield a very smooth surface. Okay, and it minimize the machining cost. Okay, that means after casting very that means the very much material, it is going for some machining operation. But in case of die casting, you that means the machining performance, that means machining is not required. Okay, that means that's why it says that greatly reducing machining and polishing requirement. That means minimum machining and polishing requirement is done when you prepare this product using this die casting process. Okay, so in this process, some metal may leak between the mating parts or mating seams of this die, which can result sharp edges of the metal, which also called flash. It can be removed by using either grinding and buffing. So for production of the metal toys, the term die cast is generally considered as a mark of quality, especially when compared to the CPR stamping of lithograph sheet metal or bared stamp metal, possibly later painted. Okay, so when we go for some small metal toys and other such type of components, generally this die casting is considered. So what are the products that can be produced using the for this one forming die? This metal spoon, fork, knives, it can be produced by forming dies. Then aluminum cans, Then we have car fender, bumper, door, hood, piston. That means everything that means required for your this one for car. Okay, hood, piston, rose, frame. Then clothing zipper, buttons, everything can be made using this forming dies. Next one we have thread cutting. Okay, so thread cutting is also one type of device. Is a nut like thread cutting device for making screw thread on a rod stock. So this device can also be used to restore the damaged strip, which is a method. It is called seshing. For high production, a die head may be used. Okay, its operation is very similar, but it does not require unthreading at the end of the cut. The head's construction, it will help the die head to expand the required length of the thread, disengaging the scissors, that means cutting tips, and permitting the tool's retraction without contacting with the workpiece's rotation. Okay, these die heads are available and it is commonly used for both cutting threads and ruling threads. The machine which usually die head, it is a screw machine. Product that is created by the threading dies. What are the products? In contrast to forming dies, threading dies rarely produce a part from start to finish. Okay, many operations which are performed on the part in addition to the threading created by the die are screws, bolts, threaded rod, pre-threaded metal plumbing pipe, and male fittings, tanks in fencing blades. So these are the products created by the threading dies. Next one we have wire pulling. Okay, wire pulling or wire making dies. So these dies, they have a hole through the middle of them. Okay, a wire like your rod of the steel, copper, or any metallic alloy, it enters into one side and it is lubricated and reduced in size. Okay, the leading tip of the wire is usually pointed in the process. Then after this, the tip of the wire, it is guided into the die. Okay, and rolled onto the block onto the opposite side. Okay, this block, it will help to gain the power to pull the wire through the die. Okay, let's see these things. One first one, what is the required? It is wire making dies have a hole through the middle of them. Okay, there is a hole in the middle of the them. So the wire, which is maybe a rod of steel, copper, or other metals, it is entering into one side and it is lubricated so that there will be no friction and reduced in size. Then leading tip of the wire is usually pointed in the process. Okay, the tip of the wire, then it is guided into the die and it is rolled onto the block on the opposite side. Okay, so this block provides the power to pull the wire into the die. So this die, it is logically divided into some few sections. Okay, first section is an entrance angle which guides the wire into the die. Okay, the next is the approach angle which brings the wire to the nib, which facilitates the reduction, that means reducing the size. Next is the bearing and the back relief. Okay, lubrication is added at the entrance angle. Okay, the lube can be in the powder soap form. If the lubricant is soap, the friction of the drawing of the wire hits the soap to liquid form and coats the wire. The wire should never actually come in contact with the die. A thin coat of lubricant should prevent the metal to metal contact. Okay, for pulling a substantial rod down to a fine wire, a series of several dies it is used for obtaining the progressive reduction of the diameter in stages. Okay, that means when we are taking a substantial rod and we have to perform a series of dies, then it is done by a different type of dies. That means several dies are at tandem, it is introduced to get the progressive reduction of the diameter. Standard wire gauges used to refer the number of dies through which the wire had been pulled. Okay, that means there has been some standard wire gauges are there, which is generally referred through which the wire had been pulled. Okay, higher number wire gauge means a thinner wire. So if you apply higher gauge number, then it will mean a thin wire. Typical telephone wires like your 22 gauge main power cable 32 gauge are produced by these wire pulling methods. Okay, so these are very important from the our perspective, like what we have day to day encounter with our commodities, like your some wire, like telephonic wire, like main power cables, like all these things are can be produced using these wire pulling methods. Okay, so next after this casting die design, then we have molding. Okay, molding, it is what is the process? Molding, it is the process by which we can manufacturing a manufacture some raw material using some frame or model which is called a product, which is called a mold. Okay, so a mold, there is a mold, it can write mold or mould. A mold or mold, it is a hollow block which is filled with some liquid like plastic, glass, metal or ceramic materials. Okay, so when it is entering into the mold, this liquid hardens or sets inside the molds. Okay, then this liquid actually getting its shape according to the mold size. So that means a mold is the opposite of a cast. The manufacturer who makes the mold, it is called a mold maker. And one type of release agent is specially used for removal of the hardened set from the mold. So types of the molding, what are the types of the molding? One is your powder metallurgy. So what is the powder metallurgy? The powder metallurgy, it is also a forming and a fabrication phenomenon. It has three major processing stages. Okay, what is the first stage? The first stage is the primary material, it is physically powdered. Okay, they have been powdered into very small individual particles. Okay, after this the next step is to make inject the powder into the mold. Okay, inject the powder into the mold and they pass through this die to produce a weakly cohesive structure. Okay, via some cold welding. Finally, the part which is formed by the applying pressure, temperature, long setting times. Okay, so they are the final product which are formed by applying some pressure. Okay, high pressure, high temperature, long setting times. Okay, or any combination of these. So this powder metallurgy, you have to, it is a very important in manufacturing company. So this powder metallurgy is, it is a technique of forming and fabrication. Okay, there are three major processing steps. One is your the primary material, it is your physically powdered using some devices. So they have been powdered into very small individual particles. Then this powder, it is injected into this mold, it is the mold or pass through die. Okay, to produce a very weakly cohesive structure via cold working, very near the dimensions of the object, ultimately the ultimately to be manufactured. Okay, then that means the product which to be manufactured after this, in the second step we make this powder into the mold cavity using this die to produce very weakly cohesive structure and with the very near dimensions of the object which to be produced. Finally, the end product which is formed by applying some pressure, high temperature, long setting time, etc., or any combination of these. Okay. Next one is the ceramics. Okay, these ceramic terms actually it covers all the inorganic non-metallic materials. Okay, which are generally formed by the action of the heat. Up to 1950s or so, the most important of these were traditional clays like made into pottery, bricks, tiles, and the like along the cements and glass. Okay, so in this compaction plus sintering, it is the process of molding involving either powder metallurgy or ceramics. Okay. Next one is your plastics. Okay. So what does it plastics? This plastic, it is the general term which covers a wide range of synthetic or semi-synthetic polymerization products. Okay. So these plastics are made through organic condensation or addition of the polymers, and it can contain other substances for improving performance or economics. Okay, these are many natural polymers. There are many natural polymers generally considered to be the plastics. Okay, these plastics can be formed into many objects or films or fibers. Okay, their name is coming from the fact that they are malleable, having the property of the plasticity. So this covers the following areas. Okay, this molding. One is your injection molding, one is your compression molding, one is your transfer molding, extrusion molding, and blow molding. Then rotational molding, thermoforming, already we have discussed some things, vacuum forming, reaction injection molding, laminating, expandable bed molding, foam molding, rotomolding, vacuum plug assist molding, pressure plug assist molding, match molding, etc. So when you have to consider this tool, die and mold manufacturing, what is the global output? The global outlook, how does the industry looks like? Okay, so this is also very important from the point of uh, manufacturing. Okay, so as we know, this tool and die precision machining industry, these are very uniform, very importantly, it is distributed uniformly worldwide. Okay, so though the business is tough almost everywhere, but it is getting better. Okay, this International Tooling and Machining Association, it does represent 1,000 of companies from around the world where they can exchange information, ideas to strengthen the mold making industry as a whole and ensure its long-term success. Okay, this tool and die industry conditions in most of the developed and developing countries are surprising similar to those in the US and the Canada. At the ISTMA, that means International Special Tooling and Machining of Association 2000 board meeting held in Melbourne, Australia, each country reported the status of its market. That means what is the global market, focusing primarily on the tool and die, secondarily on the precision machining. So how it can be improved. Okay. ISTMA, International Special Tooling and Machining Association. The consistent message from almost all the developed countries and many of the developing countries was manufacturing is not appreciated, shortage of the skilled workers, volume had fallen up and has recovered the last 1-2 years, then profits are down, competition from China. So these are the some messages they are giving. Okay, when the board meeting was held in the Melbourne. Separate reports from China also show some similarity with skill labor shortages, margin shrinkage, and the need to increase the prices to cover rising cost. tool making tool making value chain. So as we all know, human capital, it is one of the fundamental building blocks of our economic competition. The development of human capital, so that's why it is very much important, strategic important to South African industry. Okay. So this tool making industry, it helps to provide a unique opportunity for the constituent sustainable development of continued sustainable development of human capital on an expanded skill force. The global competitive development of tools, molds and dies, it requires a diverse skill value involving highly qualified person, also the lower levels of competence. So this summary below, it will give an idea of the extent of the skills value chain. Okay. The tool and die maker remains a central skill within the tool making value chain. Tool and die makers are highly skilled workers in the manufacturing industry. Most tool and die makers attend a 4 to 5 year intern apprentice learnership program to achieve the necessary status qualification. Further experimental training is also required to gain the necessary experience to operate as a tool maker. Okay. Some of the job functions of a tool and die maker consist of producing jigs, fixture, form tools, dies, molds, cutting tools, and many other mechanical items used in the manufacturing process. In modern tool and die making techniques, the tool maker's most important function is during the assembly, finishing and verification of the tool or die. Then project manager, then tool designer, CAM and CNC programmer, these are some important things. Next one, milling and turning operators, wire reading and electrosparking operators, tool room managers, metallurgist, metrologist, engineering analyst, cost estimators, heat treatment operators, polishers. Okay. So in the final analysis, the supply of the manufacturing process products, it will depend on your tool, die, and mold manufacturing. Okay. In TDM industry, it involves the machine, tools, equipment necessary for producing most manufacturing components. Okay. This TDM industry, it is a very high value adding constituent in the supply of manufacturing products. Okay. So these all are the things which we have studied. These are not in your course, but still I am telling you. So what is the chain? Okay, the economic chain. So what is the value? Okay, skills value chain. Okay, in the tool maker, then designer, the programmer. Okay, what is the value? Okay, that means once you are equipped with these things, this can be a very huge helpful for your future career also. Once you are equipped, you can go for anything. Okay, in die making industry, tool making industry, mold making industry. So these are very high profitable manufacturing companies nowadays. Okay. So with this, I conclude this one. Okay. So this one is not for your this one course, but still I am saying global outlook for tool, dies, and molds manufacturing. Okay. But up to this one, types of molding include, it is important for your perspective. Molding, dies, design, and different types of dies. Okay. Casting, what are the different types of casting, die casting. So these are very important from your examination purpose view. Okay. So if you have any doubt, students, you can ask me regarding this. Any doubt here? So if you don't have any doubt, I conclude today's class and you give once again your attendance. Okay. Total 9 number of students are present. Okay. Give the attendance accordingly. Okay, so thank you.